So diversity and inclusion are very hot buzzwords right now, probably for the last decade. We are going to talk about why true inclusion is the secret sauce to transforming organizations.
I'm Travis Walker. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Realize Now. We are the growth and learning company.
I'm Mike Williams. I'm also one of the co-founders. I am the director of ideas.
Both vice president and director level employees at some of the biggest brands in the world. Our focus is to help individuals or companies grow through our growth triangle. Our growth triangle focuses on 3 key areas. So our growth triangle starts with an introduction. So that would be similar to what we're doing today. And then we move into deep dive. Deep dive is going to be similar to the affinity conversation we did yesterday, but in a little bit longer format. So it's going to be a workshop, or it's going to be a virtual training that we offer online. And then the last part of our growth triangle is mastery. And that really comes through one-on-one or small group engagements, or even deeper dives of some of the other things we did in the past, or that we just talked about right now. We believe that this stepped approach to learning allows for people to continue to grow in a way that helps them maximize their potential.
Inclusion is a topic that's near and dear to us, and it's needed as much as any. True change comes from people being uncomfortable, similar to the affinity conversation we facilitated yesterday.
That instead of diversity and inclusion, DI, it actually should be the other way around. Inclusion and then diversity. Because the identity, big I, big D, for inclusion and diversity, so the identity of a company will be defined by its inclusion and then its diversity, and not the other way around.
True inclusion is a major factor in living your mission.
Can I get some energy in the room?
Yeah.
Oh, that was, okay, online. Where's the online camera? I'm sure you guys can turn up over the keyboards better than that. So turn up in the chat right now. This because true growth comes from true, honest answers. Can we all commit to doing that today? Yes. Only half of you?
All right.
Only half of you? The rest of you are like, no, I'm gonna lie. Typically, these 3 statements are actually the linchpin to full day workshops. So we're going to try to squeeze this all in to like 20 minutes, right? But we would go much deeper into these topics if we were workshopping these, right? So the first of those statements is diversity is important. Diversity is important, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because there's a clear business case for diversity. So let's talk about that business case. So McKinsey is the research firm globally. I think most of you have probably heard of McKinsey. If you want to research anything, they research it, all right? And so they did a 5-year study on the impact of diversity. Is there a clear correlation between financial success of an institution and how diverse they are? And so what they found was there was a correlation between how diverse a company was, specifically at their leadership, and how much revenue they were generating. Is there a penalty for not being diverse? And so what they did was they took the bottom quartile and they compared it to the other 3 quartiles. And what they found was there was a minus 19% revenue deficit for those in gender diversity in the bottom quartile, and minus 27% for ethnic and gender diversity. Now, the second statement, diversity without inclusion doesn't really matter. While sentiments on diversity, so they polled all of the employees at these companies, what they found was even though people had a great sentiment, a positive sentiment about diversity, they had a very negative sentiment about inclusion. So what they said was companies that are really moving forward in diversity, even those companies were really struggling with the idea of inclusion being an important part of their business.
The next big idea is inclusion without equity is impossible. You can't have a sense of inclusion without addressing the structure of your company and its policies and practices. A lot of these policies and practices were created under a lens that had the wrong perspective. And though I believe most of these companies didn't intentionally mean to have policies and practices that would lead to their employees feeling excluded, studies show that employees are feeling that way. And we believe it's time to take action.
But what action are you going to take now? Doug, is the chat ready? Are they blowing up? Are they ready to get live?
The chat is ready. The chat is blowing up.
I'm letting
them. So,
see, that's what I like to hear.
Can
you guys outperform the chat is my question. That's what I want to know. Okay. All right. That's why I love it. I love
Who started off with so much.
Well, one more over there. One more over there. Close?
Yes, and in order for Team C to actually be in the game and play Monopoly, they have to be able to start at the same point where Team A was at. So bring them on up to Team A status, and then we've got a fair game.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm curious though, since in the very beginning where Team C had to give up all their money to Team A was paying the rents on behalf of Team C on the Team B properties, correct?
Yeah.
So,
But that was like so many years ago. I mean, slavery was like, oh, I'm sorry.
right.
I'm sorry.
So,
Slavery was like so long ago, right? I mean, it was like,
well, what I'm curious
20
is
terms
where
ago.
is Team B coming in on their fairness because they were starting out at less than Team A, and I'm a Team A-er, so I'm just curious.
now, we would love to be able to dive deeper into this, but like we said, we have a short amount of time. But you can imagine playing this game at a workshop and how it would feel. And sometimes when we do it, a company or school, they might give an actual real prize. And then, people are like killing themselves over a t-shirt. That's not fair. So the question is, imagine what that means when it's more important than a t-shirt.
It's not the fault of the third player on Team A that the rules were unfair and they didn't even have a chance to play, right? And it's easier for them to see the inequity that existed before the play and say, I wouldn't have done that. That's really bad. What do you want me to do about the past? And I would throw the question back at you all. What are you prepped and primed in regards to allowing space for understanding and potential action? So you may be thinking about what is some of the root causes to this stuff? What's going on? And our answer to that is bias. And it's a particular tendency, trend, inclination, feeling, or opinion, especially one that is preconceived or unreasoned. We all have them. They come from how we were raised, images that we see in the media, the political affiliation we belong to, the religion we prescribe to. But when bias turns into action, it can be devastating to a culture. One thing that we can do is we can dive into the policies, internal and external, in regards to how we serve our community or how our employees have to subscribe to those policies. When we do evaluation, there's 3 things to look at. Are they essential to the function of the job, the policies, company purpose, or customer experience? If they are, is the policy right for potential bias? That's number 2. Number 3, if yes, how can we keep the integrity of the policy and remove it from practice?
But what action are you going to take now?
Right on. I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Join the journey. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Step on the blazing, I wish you would. Catch me out, match my stats, you know what's good.